Why does traditional outdated sales training set you up for failure in your field sales or Zoom sales? What are the two nervous states that you need to be aware of that are going to go through yourself and the prospect that are going to affect every single outcome of every single prospect interaction that you have in sales? And what is the 7-second rule that you can use to prevent 84% of the objections that you're getting today? Yes, you can just wipe out 84% of the objections that you're getting today in your sales career. Welcome to this video. We're going to figure this out in this video. My name is Dr. Rajat Sinha. I'm a medical doctor turned sales strategist. And when I was starting out, I started out many years ago, even when I was still a medical student, and I wanted to get into sales and marketing. Coming from a hospitality or a service-based industry, medical science, it took me many, many years to master the skills that I'm sharing with you today. In fact, for more than 3 years, I failed straight out. All right. So today, what I want to do is I want to just decode the factors that especially affect you if you're coming from a service-based industry, especially if you are from a hospitality industry, especially if you are a homemaker, especially if you are somebody who works at a job where you have to support clients, and suddenly you're coming into this entrepreneurship area or sales area where you're supposed to now go the exact opposite. You're supposed to get people to pay you money, and that feels very, very uncomfortable. What is the reason for that? I want to go deep inside it. Okay, so let's get started. Now, if you're getting value from my videos, first thing I would like to do is request you to please subscribe to this channel. And once you subscribe, there'll be a bell icon somewhere for alerts. That way, you'll be able to get to see the videos as soon as they're out. And it really helps me to rank in the algorithm so I can get this message out to more people. Also, please share the video if you feel somebody can benefit from it. Thanks so much. So let's get started. I'm just going to go ahead over to my screen over here. And the first thing I have over here is a high energy welcome. Now, before I go into the sales call, I just want to talk about this high energy stuff. What happens is if you are a person from a hospitality or service based industry, or even if you're a homemaker who's suddenly getting into sales and entrepreneurship, whoever your mentor is, or whoever, if you're selling some company's products like a health product or financial product, they have probably taught you to be in a high energy state, to be excited. And all of this excitement helps to actually get you to break through your barriers, approach people, sell to them, build a list, whatever it is. In my case, when I was still in medical college, every single day after college hours, I was going out into the marketplace trying to find strangers, just say hi, hello, probably grab their phone number, be friendly with them, and then probably call them 1 week later for in order to prospect them for my business. Okay, so you're probably doing some of that, and all of that requires you to be extremely motivated. And in the sales industry, there's a whole education industry which is geared to providing that motivation. That means there are high energy events, you have books that you're asked to read, there are audio programs, coaching programs, etc., which are focusing entirely on the motivation aspect of it. And that is amazing because you do need that firepower in order to get going in the marketplace. But this kind of sales training may also be causing you to lose sales a lot. Okay, and I want to unpack that in this video. So what happens is that when you're in a high energy state, it is only one half of the equation. That means you're motivating yourself so that you can actually go out and be the person who can actually break through the barriers and kind of really get going, get those prospects, make those sales, and overcome that emotional baggage that comes from hearing a lot of rejections. Okay, one of the biggest things that is holding us back in life in general is the fear of rejection. So just getting past the fear of rejection is very, very difficult. That is why sales and entrepreneurship is the highest paid profession in the world. So you do need that excitement. But coming from a medical background, I just want to educate you. This excited state is called an adrenergic state or a sympathetic state. Does not mean you have sympathy for people. It is just a word for it. And it also means adrenergic state, which means there is adrenaline running through your body. Now, back in the day when we were not civilized in towns and cities, it was all hunter and hunted in the forest. That means if you are hunting another animal in order to kill and eat, then this adrenergic state would keep you hunting, get you this motivation to chase an animal and hunt it. So the body would release these bursts of energies in an adrenaline format that would get you to probably go out and do hunting. And if you were a prey, that means if a bigger animal was hunting you, then this adrenaline would actually give you a burst of energy to outrun the predator. Okay, so this high energy state is called a sympathetic state. It is driven by adrenaline, and it is called in layman parlance, it is called fight, flight, or freeze response. That means you're either going to fight for survival, or you're going to run for survival, or you're going to freeze. A lot of people get so scared that they freeze and they can't do anything, and the hunter comes and gets them. Okay, why is that important? Because what happens is when you are in this highly motivated state and you meet a prospect, When you're in this highly motivated state and you meet a prospect, the same state is going to transfer to them and they're going to feel fight, flight, or freeze. That means that when you present your product, they're either going to fight or they're going to run away. They're going to say, hey, let me think about it. Or they're going to freeze and they're going to not do anything. You ask them for the money and they're like, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to reject you, but they're scared of rejecting you. They're scared of saying no, or they don't feel comfortable, but they will push it off. And in either of these states, you are not going to get the sale. Very, very simple. Okay, so this fight, flight, or freeze response is only one half of the equation, helps you get into the market. But once you have those prospects sitting in front of you, this state is probably causing you all of the failures you face on the field. All right. By the way, this objection I just told you, hey, let me think about it and get back to you. This is the single largest objection that people face in sales. In fact, if you were able to just handle this, get this objection somehow prevented or handled, your sales would go up. This is 84% of all rejections you get in sales. Let me think about it and get back to you. What does that mean? Either the prospect is flying away, that means they're trying to run, okay, or they're fighting, which is they're probably fighting for time or trying to get away from you or something like that, or they're freezing, they can't decide, and they're like, okay, let me think about it, okay, so they're frozen. So fight, flight, and freeze does not really work in a sales situation, although it does help to get you into the marketplace, get you motivated so that you can break your own barriers and pursue those prospects, okay. So step one, when you open a call with a prospect, you definitely open with a high energy welcome, especially if you are the one who has been chasing them. You're the one who made the cold call. You're the one who said, hey, I want to meet you in this regard. And they probably gave you time or they showed up on the call. Definitely at that point, you're in a sympathetic state and you should open that way so that there is consistency. When you first met them, you were excited. When you first called them, you were excited. Now, when they're coming to meet you, you should be excited and you welcome them in a very high energy state. Now, from here, you have 7 seconds left. Okay, roughly 7 to 12 seconds. 7 to 12 seconds, my friend, before this state transfers over to the prospect and they go into fight, flight, and freeze mode. In these 7 to 12 seconds, something needs to happen so that your sympathetic response, or the sympathetic, which is the adrenergic response, kind of flips over into something called a parasympathetic response. Parasympathetic response. So just like your sympathetic response or adrenergic response is hunter and hunted, similarly parasympathetic is the exact opposite. It's like two people, two friends having a chat with each other, no agenda, no ulterior motive, just two people enjoying each other's company. Okay, and that state, the parasympathetic state, is also called feed, rest and digest rest and digest mode, which basically means two people just hanging out with each other and just comfortable in each other's company, so that at the end of that, if one friend says, hey, let's go and watch this movie, the other one will automatically say, okay, let's do it. Okay, let's go and do this. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, before that, there is a period which is called parasympathetic state, also called rest and digest. And if you will see, a lot of people, when they are in a friendly environment, when they are with friends, relatives, there is always breaking of bread. That means there's always some food on the table, some snacks, some coffee, some tea. Rest and digest. So now, even if you're selling on Zoom, you want to have this state where they transfer into a rest and digest state. You need to transfer into a rest and digest state, and that state needs to transfer to the prospect. You have 7 to 12 seconds in this frame. What do you do? Okay, let's go through the different steps. I have a simple 4-step method. If you follow it just like I'm telling you, it's gonna just flip that state. So you open with high energy, you get that magnetism in, and after that you flip the state so it slows down, and then it goes into rest and digest. So that prospect is actually resting, relaxing, and digesting the information. So at the end of that, they don't have to say, let me think about it and get back to you, because they're already in rest and digest, which means they're already digesting the information that you told them. Mostly in fight, flight, or freeze, what happens is you throw out the information. They're not in rest and digest mode. They don't get the information, understand the information, and then they say, let me think about it, because people don't rest and digest when they are in fight, flight, and freeze. Very simple. Okay, so you got to put them in that state, and there is a 7 to 12 second window. Let's do it. Let me show you how that is done. Okay, now you've opened with a high energy welcome. Next thing is you're going to ask the why question, or you can frame it as a what about question. Okay, if it is an inbound person, they watched an ad or something and they came and booked your calendar or something like that, you can ask them upfront, hey, why is it that you've come to me? Okay, what brought you over here to me? What is it that interested you, that brought you over to me? Even if they say, I watched your ad, even if they say, hey man, your team called me, like your guys called me yesterday, Great. Still, they're meeting you for the first time. You can ask them, hey, why have you come to me? Like, what is the reason? Now they have to answer this question. When they have to answer this question, they have to think. And they have to think about what? They have to think about themselves. Now, when people are thinking about themselves, this state called parasympathetic state is slowly now kicking in. Okay? So you say, hey man, why is it that you've come to me? Or what about this particular thing interests you? That means you may have done the cold call yourself. You may have done the cold call. You may have said, hey man, I want you to come and meet me regarding this, etc., etc. So this is called a trigger reference. And they said, okay, yeah, let's meet. And they come. But you're the one who's asked them. So now you need to flip that frame and you get them thinking. So you say, hey man, I asked you to come for a make money initiative, or I asked you to come for a particular health thing that I spoke to you about. But let me quickly ask you, where are you with that right now? Or what about it? When I say health or when I say fitness, what is the picture that comes to your mind? Okay, or what is the part about fitness that really interests you? Because people are going to say, hey, you said it's a health thing, I want to be healthy, let's go. What is it? What do you have? How much does it cost? Before that, you got to flip the switch and say, when I talk about health, what is the picture that comes to your mind, or what is about health that interests you? Hey man, I'm talking about side hustles. Okay, so what about a side hustle interests you? So you're asking a very deep why question. Either it's a superficial why question. If they've come to meet you, there is no context, which means your team called them or they saw an ad, but you haven't met before. If you've already met before, you're the one who's brought them to the table. You got to tweak the question a little bit so it doesn't it doesn't get weird. Okay, now when you ask them a why question, they are still in fight, flight, and freeze response, my friend. That point, they're still fight, flight, and freeze response, because you just put them on the spot. Why is it? What is it? What interests you about it? And they're suddenly having to kind of think. Okay, so at this point, the switch is not flipped yet. Okay, which is why you follow it up with just another question, and you say over here, if they say, hey man, I want to be fit, etc., how long have you been wanting to be fit? Hey man, I want to make some more money. How long have you been wanting to make more money? Okay, or I have written over here, y squared, y raised to the power 2. Why is that? Because extremely seasoned salespersons over here will ask up to 5 why questions. They're going to go, why? Why do you want to make money? Oh, I want to have more money so that I can be abundant. Why do you want to be abundant? Oh, so that I can take care of my family. Okay, why is it that you want to, what exactly about your family are you worried about? And they're going to say, oh, well, my kids are growing up. They may want to become rocket scientists. I need to send them abroad for studies. So I don't want to fail my kids. Okay, so after asking 4 whys, you got the real emotional reason. That is the hook point. Okay. Now, if you're not a seasoned salesperson, if you're just starting out, don't need to ask so many questions, because you will be scared. When I was new, I used to be scared. Why should I ask so many questions? Prospects probably going to get very, very intimidated. They may even get irritated and throw me out of their house or something. Okay. So I did not have the confidence to ask so many questions. No problem. Just 2 of these questions should be good enough. Okay. So you got high energy, welcome. What is it that brought you over here? What is it that I asked you that interests you the most? How long have you wanted this? How long have you been wanting to get rid of your diabetes? How long have you been wanting to make $1 million or whatever it is? Okay. Or you can ask a why square question. Why is it that you want to do the thing that you wanted to do? Okay. Now you ask 2 questions. Okay. They came here to get some information and you're asking some questions. So 2 questions, more than enough. If you're a beginner, more than enough. Now you want to start slowing down and you want to start giving them what they are here to receive. No need to ask more than 2 questions at this point before you get permission. So now you're going to get permission, and before permission, you're going to get them information. What is the information you're going to give them? Not product information, please. Not future pacing. No, not over here, please. Okay, what are you going to do? You're going to ask exactly this. In fact, you're going to say this, which is the frame or the perimeter. We call this the perimeter. You're going to set up the mandates of the call. You're going to set up the actual what's going to happen. You're going to set up the entire frame. Okay, so what do you say? Hey man, you're going to say 3 things. You're going to say, hey man, so it's like this, that we have roughly about 20 minutes. That should do it. Do you agree? They say yes. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and then what I'm going to do is, if there is something obvious that I see that I can point out to you, that I can take home with you today, I'll just point it out. Okay, if there is something obvious that jumps out at me, I'll point it out. That means I'll give you some value on this call. And finally, if you feel that you need something more customized, you can let me know and we'll see what we need to do next. Okay, so quick frame and perimeter I haven't written over here. You should time the perimeter. The first thing is you should tell them how much time it's going to take. And before saying, hey, it's going to take 30 minutes, do you have 30 minutes? No, instead of that, you say, I think roughly 20 to 30 minutes should do it. That's more than enough. Okay, so what you're doing is you're being the selector over here. You're saying, I have 20 to 30 minutes, that should be more than enough. Would you agree? And they're like, okay, whatever. They're going to agree with whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, so you're going to say, well, I think 20 minutes should do it, 20 to 30 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask some questions. And based on just what is the picture in your mind, I just want to understand that, what has been happening in your life. If I find something obvious that jumps out to me, I'm going to point it out to you, and you can take it home and just try out the ideas that I give you. Okay, so basically what you're saying is you came to get some value over this from this interaction. I'm going to give you the value, absolutely, no question, free value. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions. I just need to understand where you're at, and if there is something obvious that jumps out at me, I'll let you know, and maybe you can go home and try out a couple of ideas that I give you. All right, and finally, if you feel that there is something more customized that you need, then we can talk about how to go ahead with that. Is that fair? They'll say, okay, yes. Okay, so what have you done over here is in the frame and the perimeter, you've said, I'm the one who asks questions and I'm the one who sets the time. So let's say 30 minutes. Okay, if there is something obvious that I see in the questions that you answer for me, I'll point it out, which means if there is an obvious solution, I'll point it out. Later, obviously, if you feel that you need something more customized or tailored, please remember these words. People love customized. They love something is for them. It's for me. Custom. If you need something more customized or tailored, then we can figure out what are the next steps for that. What are the next steps for that? Okay, we can figure out pricing, we can figure out a sale, we can figure out a product. No. We can figure out a project. No. If you need something more tailored, you let me know and we can figure out the next steps for that. Yes? They say yes. Okay, so you're using very, very non-threatening words over here. You've set the perimeter, and most importantly, what you've done is you've asked permission to ask more questions. Now you can ask more questions. Okay, even if you're able to start talking about the frame or the perimeter in roughly about 10, maybe 15 seconds, you're good to go. Hey man, welcome. How are you doing, Rahul? How's life? Okay, great. Where are you logging in from? Hey, I'm logging in from Mumbai. Amazing to see you, man. Awesome. What work do you do, Rahul? I do X, Y, and Z. Okay, great. What is it that brings you here? Rahul says X, Y, and Z. 7 seconds have passed. You want to have another probably 5 seconds. Great. How long have you been facing this, etc., etc.? They say, etc., etc. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, now when you start the frame and perimeter over here, they start to get some comfort level. They start to relax, they start to decompress, because now they're understanding where this is going. Hey, I would love to help you. If there is something obvious that I can see, I'm going to quickly help you. And then later, if you think there is something we should work on, you can let me know. We'll look forward to next steps. Yes? And they say, yes. Okay, great. Now what you've turned all that excitement into consultation. You ask permission to ask more questions. And there's just one more question that I want you to ask here. Very, very important, is going to help you close later. Okay, just one more question before you go into the other exploratory questions. Most important question I want you to ask over here is, hey, before we get started, Rahul, when would you like a solution? By when are you looking to solve this problem that you have? See, I'm not excited anymore. Okay, I just started with high energy. Hey, by when are you looking to solve the problem that you have? Okay, and I'm looking into the camera if you're on Zoom, or I'm looking into their eyes directly. And my body language is, if I'm leaning back, mostly you should be leaning back, just relax, create that space. But sometimes I just lean forward and say, by when do you think you're looking at solving this diabetes problem? Why do I ask that? Because obviously I only want to work with people who are in urgent need of fixing their problems. And even if they say, hey, side hustle, let's say, oh, I'm just exploring. You said side hustle, so I came. I don't know. I don't have a timeline in mind. Amazing. So I know that they don't have a timeline in mind. So my expectation from this call is going to get lowered. That means I'm not going to expect this call to close. And if they say no, I'm going to be disappointed and all of that. Okay, very simple. So this is how you turn a sympathetic state, that excited state, into a consultative state. And in this consultative state, you're going to be able to close much more. Just follow the Mad Money script format that I've given. Just watch the other videos. And yeah, definitely I've covered all of these things. What are the deep psychological factors in my book, which is called Nil Negotiation Selling. If you can just grab that on Amazon, that would be amazing. And just get into the study of this. Let me know in the comments if there are any other questions I can answer for you. Okay. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye. Happy selling, man. Wish you all the best. Bye.